But, you know, we saw a lot of interesting things yesterday. A few Pokemon that were not allowed to play on Thea Sky Ruins, as well as a few Pokemon that we thought was a bit surprising. So I'm curious to see what we're going to get allowed through. Considering we're in day 2, things are a little bit more serious. Perhaps we're going to get a little bit more, I don't know, of an interesting draft by the looks of it. But those bands look fairly standard, my guy.
That they do, buddy. I mean, Spinal going to take out the Hooper, the Suicune, and the Zacian. I think Suicune got through so much yesterday. I was very surprised at it, buddy, because it is still the best Pokemon to pick up in this game, in my opinion. Mimikyu is beginning to leak through in that, but Jolteon's has got access to Glaceon, the strongest attacker in the game right now, alongside that Miraidon.
I mean, that's double range attackers alongside a Magikarp as well. I'm pretty sure Mega Gyarados is still not allowed to be played just yet. Need to get confirmation on that. But we talked about yesterday. Zero and Alex was talking about Pure leading from that front. Such a fantastic defender. But what other Pokemon do you need to make moves than a cross or block them in? Let the Miraidon and the Glaceon shred them down. But on the opposite side, Infamous Gaming, they have Clefable, which we talked about as well yesterday. I still think Clefable such an underrated support with that area of effect healing that we do get with Moonlight. However, Mew, Buzzsaw, and Blaziken double arounders versus double attackers, that's going to be a big problem for Spinal to deal with. But we know Spinal is very good, and if you let them have even an inch, Tano, they're going to take the entire Thea Sky Ruins and say, yeah, this is mine.
Listen, we currently, I believe, have a record of, is it 9 minute 21 for a Gyarados on the field in the Unite Fight Club by INGAGE Lobo? So, OG, maybe, looking to see if they can break that record. But nevertheless, I am very surprised that Infamous have not picked up some sort of speedster here, something to really get into that backline and put so much pressure on. They've got two, their damage is two ranged attackers here that have quite a bit of maneuverability, mate. I'm very surprised we don't see no speedster, but let's see if it pays off for them as we get into this first game of the upper bracket semi-final. It's here, Spinal on your purple side, Infamous Gaming on your orange side.
Who else was going to take that central lane apart from that little Torchic, Tano, as well as we've got Eevee heading on into the central lane for the side of Spinal. I think all eyes should be on that Magikarp in the top lane that has to go up against a Buzzsaw and a Mamoswine. Probably one of the most problematic lanes for a little Magikarp to deal with, but that effort gauge looking all right already, almost a third way full as Buzzsaw and Mamoswine going to stack their way home. Definitely don't want to risk a KO right now because Flail, the lower damage you are, has the ability to do more damage. Buzzsaw looking terribly low. An assist would give Gyarados the win here. But nope, the Buzzsaw uses its big muscles to take them right back down.
Oh, buddy, that is, you bite off a little bit more than you can chew. A brilliant effort from Cebus there on that Swinub, taking all of that damage because, oh boy, was that Magikarp getting ready to be nice and fed. Now they've got Glaceon up in the top lane here on the side of Spinal, but all of that farm is going to go to the side of Infamous Gaming, whilst they do have a better approach on the bottom lane on the side of Spinal.
It is interesting to see. I do want to see, Tana, however, what moveset Glaceon decides to go with. I know the traditional moveset that we see, the moveset that got buffed and the more annoying moveset was that Icicle Spear, but Glaceon having access to the blue buff and that central lane. Icy Wind could be a good shout here with a little bit more dashing ability coming through as well with the Icy Wind. Buzzsaw going to go window shopping inside that central lane as Piloswine also going to make their way down because Infamous Gaming think a Blaziken can handle a Gyarados.
Not an easy task at all, buddy. They are going to go at each other for the rest of that top lane. We do have the Regidrago coming on in right now. Infamous Gaming currently with a huge advantage in this early game. Look at the levels that they've gained, but it's all about these points. They are nearly 100 points ahead of Spinal right now as they look to take the Regidrago away from them here. It is going to be Infamous Gaming. No, it's not. A brilliant approach by Pure, leading from the front, will take it away.
I mean, who else but Pure was going to take that away with a rock gym? There is the enhanced charge beam alongside the Glaceon that is going to shred down the big beefy muscles of the Buzzwole. Blaziken just has to run on out of there because damage is raining on down. 15 to 97. 720 Altares on the board, and Pure blocks the entirety of Infamous Gaming away from even attempting to get onto those Altarians.
Seabers there trying to see what they can do on the Pillow Swipe, but out of all the Pokemon to pick up in the Ice Fang, it's not Pure that you were wanting to take, as they just take all of that damage, and they feel very comfortable now in that bottom lane. Infamous Gaming trying to see if they can alleviate this by bringing down the Buzzwole from that top side, but that is currently leaving OG up there to get plenty more stacks, while Spinal are going to continue to defend this T1 pad. Blaziken back to Nurse Joy. Infamous Gaming locked behind the walls, back onto their T1 pad, whilst they are on the back foot of this team fight yet again.
I mean, Regieleki is the primary target that you want to go for early on. Gyarados seems to have another thought process going through. Glacial Stage gets set. Infamous Gaming going to break a tier 1 pad, even though Spinal had all the pressure going on to this basement lane fight. Mew is going to try and put some damage onto Pure, who looks like he's just shaking it off, but there is the enhanced charge beam that's going to rain down as well. Boswell's going to try and pick up Glacier, going to pop that eject button down. Overheat! Misses and whiffs, and they're gonna have to pay for it right now, Tano. But Blaziken is a very, very slippery Pokemon. Managed to get out without paying the price for it.
Yeah, good double kill KO coming in from Yuri there as well on the Mew. That's at least bought Infamous Gaming a little bit of space now. They are in the lead with these points, but these team fights are not going their way. They need their Mamoswine online as soon as possible. They need your night moves. They've just found it on the side of the Buzzwole. So hopefully now team fights will more go their way. But the issue is, as we thought it was going to be to begin with here, Lobo, they've got nothing to deal with these ranged attackers. They are so comfortable dropping that damage from range, and it's only Blaziken that's trying to get in close.
No, I 100% agree with you, and that is the problem right there, as Piloswine did go in for an Earthquake, missed the Ice Fang, but then just got shredded down by the charge beam. Now Boswell's going to have to face the same problem here. Blaziken trying to carry anyone they can away with the Blaze Kick. However, Bright Future Meteor Storm is going to rain down onto this tier 1. Infamous Gaming are doing a fantastic job defending, and Pure just the crossel in the middle of all 5 members of Infamous Gaming. But now, finally, with their front line gone, can Infamous Gaming make a dent on this pad?
Oh, they try to, but again, Piloswine's going back to the Pokemon Center on the back of a Dragon Current and this Glaceon that's completely uncontested. They're going to clean up more here as Jolteon looks for the KOs. Infamous Gaming back onto this T1 pad again, but all Spinal are going to do is hold them there while they go for the rip onto this Regice, but Miraidon hasn't quite got involved with it yet. Big Beam's going to come through from you. It's not enough as Yuri doesn't manage to take that one away, and Spinal have all the advantage that they were looking for anyway. No Blaziken on this to defend it, but it does feel like Spinal don't want to go all in on it just yet. They don't have any Unite moves, getting this enhanced charge beam here to rip down a bit of that HP on the side of Infamous Gaming as they regroup now, looking for the Regidrago.
I mean, the rest of Spinal have moved away from this tier 1, and Pure was having a 1v1 contest with Blaziken in that bottom pad, but now it has been seen. There are 2 ranged attackers right now trying to take down Blaziken, and all that healing that the Fire Fist provide was just not enough for the shred coming through from Spinal. Back down to this basement lane, Regieleki, number 2 on the board, 90 to 179. These scores have not changed at all as we enter this engage with a Mammoth Mash.
Oh, buddy, they're going to be able to take that Regieleki on the side of Infamous Gaming. Clefable will do just that, but the rip is coming in from Spinal already, so they're not going to get much benefit from that. They have to go and do something else. Go and get that central area objective, and that's what they're trying to do now. We do have Pure here again. If he takes this, I swear down! Oh, it was so close, but no, it is locked in by Buzzwole.
If anyone wants to learn how to play a defender, just watch Pure. It is incredible to see what they're able to do with just a Crustle. Like, Crustle is a great Pokemon, but the utility that it provides all over the map, they have trapped in Infamous Gaming and just allowed the Shred from Glaceon and Miraidon to rip them to pieces. Even though Spinal are behind, they are down 2 pads to none in this one. Infamous Gaming look to be in the driver's seat, but Spinal have not looked out of place a single bit. Beautiful Rock 2 manages to catch out Blaziken. Then the Mammoth Swine was able to misplace Pure, try to take them out of the game. We're in the final stretch, Tano. 15 seconds left to go till we see ground on 2 level 13s on the side of Spinal, a level 13 and a level 12. Reg Ice is not going to get a look in with 5 seconds left to go. Mammoth Swine has to be careful. If it gets caught down here, it could get shred to pieces. No real secure, but Blaziken, we do know them as the god of secure. It's going to be secure versus shred here, or Spinal could go for the team fight as the Icicle Spears rain down on Clefable.
Buzzwole here looking to see if they can get themselves a flank as well. We've only just got the Unite moves online for Infamous Gaming here. OG has to be wary, loses half of their HP. A dive in here from Gohan. They've got the fly with the Wonder Waves, looking to see if they can find anyone, but they miss. It's a pavement Unite move. Ultra Swole Slam's going to be used here, but they just run into the claws of Pure as they're sent back to the Pokemon Center. Infamous Gaming losing their carry right now. It's all about what Blaziken can do. Rubble Rouser is going to take all of that damage as Pure is quite happy to absorb all that kick damage, and right now Spinal have the advantage. They've lost their healer, but Infamous Gaming are losing their carries. It's all about what Blaziken can do. They kick down the Crustle back to the Pokemon Center, but right now they have the lead and there's a minute left in the game.
I mean, this Clefable is doing the Lord's work, trying to heal up Blaziken, keep it in the match, but Charge Beam is going to try and shred them down. Infamous Gaming are in the lead. 45 seconds left to go. Just under 100 points between this game. Gyarados is going to try and find a pick. Mammoth Swine is going to try and find a pick as well. Freezes the Glaceon, freezes the Shred going through. 35 seconds left to go on the map. The healers are doing their bit, and Infamous Gaming managed to secure a ground up, but the Shred is still there. They have to split up. Go either way to back defend. Glaceon's going to try and get a 50 in the bottom lane, but it is stopped. No, it is not stopped by Mew. 190 to 279 as Blaziken tries to get another Hundo Burger into the home pad. There could be scores coming in late here. Tana Fuels making a run for it. Glaceon's making a run for it, but Infamous Gaming might have just pulled out this game number 1.
The might of Latam, and what a way to respond in the final few moments there, buddy. As soon as I saw Gohan just miss that fly, I felt like it was going the way of Spinal. They were finding the picks, but it was the fact that Aramis refused to go down on that Blaziken. They finally take down Pure, who had a brilliant game there, by the way, and that was it. As soon as you've lost such a massive, strong defender in your team, you take down JL. It was a matter of just cleaning up those squishes.
Oh, I agree with you. And the damage tells the story. Look at the damage coming out from Jolteons and Flareons. On the Miraidon and Glaceon, respectively, 113 and 87. But 100k healing coming out from the Clefable as well. Infamous Gaming's early lead was very, very important in this one, Tony. They established that 100 or so, just under 100-point lead in this game. But let's not take away, Euro on that Mew was so important with that 98k because that was the only poke damage coming through for the side of Infamous Gaming. So putting damage on those back row attackers as well, it meant Jolteon's, once that Eevee's passive gets busted, Mammoth Swine can go in and try and go for the pickup. However, it's easier said than done trying to get onto Jolteons when you've got someone like Pure around being an absolute menace. And Crustle can be a menace. We saw the Rock Tomb steal on the Regidrago, which was absolutely brilliant. But a lot of that game, Tano, that fight, those fights in the top part took, I want to say, about 2 to 3 minutes in this first game alone.
Yeah, and the thing is, it honestly felt like Spinal were the ones winning those team fights, Lobo. It was just the fact that Infamous Gaming managed to keep scoring. They outscored Spinal throughout the entirety of that game, and they just couldn't
Mm,
get themselves back into it. And we know that's how you win a game of Pokemon Unite. It doesn't matter how well you dominate those team fights. It's all about who's won all the points at the end, who scored the most. And Infamous Gaming managed to keep that pressure up by doing that throughout the entirety of that game. I honestly felt like we did need to see a speedster on the side of Infamous Gaming because we saw the
mm.
damage taken by Jolteons and Flareons. It was minuscule. Whilst they're dropping over 100k damage each, you can't be letting a team do that, mate.
No, absolutely not. And again, I want to say we did talk about speedsters, but I don't see where it fits in when it comes to that team from the side of Infamous Gaming. Blaziken was the linchpin of that team towards the end
Mm.
at that Groudon fight. We saw not only was the overheat securing, but the Fire Fist coming through, the ability to switch through moves as well as Blaze Kick, keeping themselves close to the Clefable throughout that entire fight, also breaking passives and also they had to take down the Blaziken first and foremost. That was their primary target for Spinal. So who do you replace the speedster with? Blaziken was too important. Mew was too important there. Mamoswine able to absorb all the damage, and Clefable was also that healing was just what kept them into it. Yes, they struggled a little bit, but speedster or not, Infamous Gaming pulling out a very, very important first game win. I can't wait to see how Spinal respond in game number 2. And we're not going to have to wait very long. But before we do that, we're going to have a look at this head-to-head right now, Tano.
Yeah, I mean, this is just a great example of how to play a ranged attacker here with both Yuri and Flareons.
Mm.
Look at the damage that they've dropped and then the damage they've taken here. That is a brilliant combination. You look at that and you're like, okay, my ranged attacker has done the job that they need to do. And then you've got a Unite move like Miraidon's, which is so good for buying space for team fights and also being able to really, get that splash damage in as well, Lobo. I
Mm.
think that's an interesting matchup, very close between them both. Probably two of the best attackers in the game right now, outside of that Glaceon and that Raichu.
No, I agree with you. I got called out pretty hard by Zero and Alex yesterday for forgetting our little boy Mew, the ancestor of all Pokemon. So, Mr. Alex, I do apologize for forgetting that one, but I would still put Espeon in that tier 1. I am standing my ground on that one. However, this shows you how to play these two Pokemon. We got another head-to-head coming through. TTP Vin Diesel versus Aramis.
Bro.
It's a problem, buddy. 113k coming out from a Glaceon should just be standard right now with Glaceon, considering how many buffs that this Pokemon has gotten. It gets buffed, it gets nerfed, it gets buffed, it gets nerfed. Almost feels like I'm looking at a Leafeon right now, Ton. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, mate, I still remember the last Glaceon meta, and it makes me feel a bit queasy that we're now back in that kind of situation. I mean, it probably was worse because you had Mew and Mime being broken as well. But right now, I mean, 113k damage, 44 damage taken, like that is ridiculous numbers. And again, I mean, second lowest on the team, I believe it was. The first being Flareon's on that Miraidon. That's crazy, Lobo. Like, teams can't be allowing that to happen. You've got to have some sort of counter for that.
I mean, it's also, I want to talk about with these evolutions, they all have a passive that kind of acts as an initial kind of full heal. I mean, Glaceon's passive, I believe it's Clear Body or Ice Body. You need to double check that, but it ignores the first hit. You have to get rid of it because we saw plenty of times that Ice Fang wasn't able to hit onto Glaceon because of that passive, so you're not able to displace it. But again, now we have another all-rounder battle, OG versus Tint. Again, damage. These two all-rounders doing a decent amount of damage, but taking different amount of damage as well. The assists was more important for these two Pokemon. Buzzsaw just being able to displace any of these attackers. The main thing for us is how quickly can Magikarp get online, and now we're seeing in these high stakes 5 stacks, Magikarp does get online quite quickly. No one's broken that record for Engage just yet, but take us through this head to head because I know you want to talk about Pure. Who doesn't want to talk about Pure?
Mate, this is the matchup that realistically decided that game, and I gotta say, Pure was fantastic on their side. I mean, looking at the stats, Sebus did a brilliant job as well on the side of this Mammoth one, but it felt like it took them a while to get going. Looking at that damage taken, we now see where Flareons and Vin Diesel were sending a lot of their damage, but there's not a lot that Sebus could do to stay on the field during that one, but it's just how strong they are in the end game between these two Pokemon, and it was huge.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And now we go to another role that is very, very underrated, the healers. This is where the healers are going to be so important. Again, Eldegoss, you and I have seen the rise of Eldegoss come back through in the recency of this off season. Not too many nerfs or buffs coming to this Pokemon, but it has been doing such a great job, especially being paired with Boswell in that top lane. Clefable, we talked about it yesterday. It's just one of the most underrated. I still think it's an underrated healer, supporter, because not only does it have access to follow me, it has access to gravity, which stops all of these dashes coming through. And there's a lot of threats on this Unite roster that have the ability to dash, but the Moonlight AoE healing, I think, is second to none. I prefer it personally over the individual healing that you get with your Blissies and with your Comfies. I would even say put Alcremie and Clefable together, because you can either go and pick up those little puff balls that Alcremie puts down, and you're just able to heal your team-wide healing, which I think is, right now, Tana, probably the most important thing in the game.
Yeah, I would agree with you, buddy. And it's nice to see people picking up this Clefable for that, because obviously we saw yesterday teams just seem to constantly avoid that Pokemon, but it's so good. And especially when you've got those double all-rounders and you just want to stick with them in the team fight, it can work a treat, because it takes quite a bit of punishment as well, does that Pink Blob. It's a pretty good tank on the side of that support role. So it was a really well-balanced comp by Infamous, to be honest. I think looking at Spinal, the only thing that I would consider here, Lobo, because I did like the double range attackers, and of course Pure being there on their comfortable defender, is maybe that Gyarados. I think change it for a different all-rounder. We saw with that all-rounder battle between the Buzzwole, between the Gyarados, it wasn't as effective. It didn't feel like they did much damage. They didn't take much damage. They weren't in the fight as much as you were expecting. I think maybe a little bit of a tweak here. Get another all-rounder in that maybe isn't so reliant on being able to get that evolution early enough. Maybe something like a Lucario, for example, would be great. And I think that if you're not going to get that Blaziken, something like that would make a bigger difference.
No, I agree with you. However, Infamous Gaming going to disagree with you, because they want that Blaziken right now here. Tano Flareons is going to go back onto the Miraidon. Pure was hovering over Umbreon for just a hot minute, but no, Snorlax is going to be the defender of choice for Pure. Gohan is going to pick up Clefable as well, but Spinal going to answer that call with the other Pink Blob, and those drafts looking fairly similar to game number one, Tano.
That they are. I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Pure does get access to their Snorlax, which is probably their go-to defender, to be honest. They've taken the Crustle out themselves. Let's see what Infamous Gaming want to do here. Looks like they're going to go back. In fact, no, Sebus, rather than going on the Mamoswine, which does take so much experience, they're going to pull out the Umbreon here. So a much better early game for Infamous Gaming.
I agree with you, especially the fact that now you have possibly have an access to a mean look, which can tie down Flareons on that Miraidon and probably allow Aramis to get onto it a lot quicker. However, OG gonna flex those muscles, and when they flex those muscles, it's a bad time for anyone who's on the other side. However, this is a Pokemon that we have had a lot of contention with, Tano. It's the Mega Charizard X. Can it finally pop off and actually make a statement for itself, considering how overhyped that Charizard really is?
I think potential. I think, I completely, we all agreed with Bridget yesterday. It takes so much experience to get this Mega Charizard ready and rolling. But looking at the side of Infamous Gaming, they don't really have a counter to that Unite move to what we're so used to seeing, buddy. We don't have any of that Mimikyu action here, no Slowbro action. You do have a
Ooh.
Clefable, so the potential of running Gravity, but whether you want to do that just to limit your healing here, I mean, you could run the Wish on Cebus as well, I suppose, but I don't think one counter is enough to deal with the power that can be that Mega Charizard. So we'll have to see here, buddy, but I do like OG changing things up and picking up the Buzzwole. I think it's a much better pick than going with that Gyarados.
Yeah, look, I like the Buzzsaw here as well because it just has the ability to displace. It has the ability to also just run rampant with that Ultra Source Slam to really get to that back line. Mega Charizard X has two big problems right now I'm seeing on the side of Infamous Gaming. One, you talked about it before, Clefable. You're not going to be able to Fire Punch. You're not going to be able to Flare Blitz. So you're going to be very careful. Also, as soon as they unite, if they're able to get off a mean look on to the Charizard straight away, that's going to give a chance for Infamous Gaming to either scatter and make sure that that Charizard Unite move is not used to its fullest and greatest potential, or there is a chance for Zacian and Blaziken to jump on to that Mega Charizard and make sure it's absolutely useless. But they're going to make the best of it right now because they're going to send Mega Charizard or Little Charmander into the central area to start this game off.
Yeah, we know how XP hungry that Pokemon is. Get it into the central area. Try and get it online as soon as possible because it's a top lane matchup that we have to keep a close eye on, buddy. It's the battle of the level 5 all-rounders, and it's all about what Starkin can do versus this Buzzwole.
We know Boswell is a very, very strong top laner. Zacian also one of the best top laners. Being flanked by squads, you know exactly where our central lane is go. Chameleon's going to get there first as Clefairy has to watch out. But that 9 minute 10 mark is when the opposing team central laner is meant to come out of that central lane and help out, which is why you saw Spinal backed off just a little bit. However, there's a turnabout coming through as Kubluskin going to take the middle nub. You don't see quite often, but here come the Altarias, Tana.
Is it something side there? It is a good push coming out from the Combusken. Clefable is online. Level 5 has been hit on the side of the Zacian. They now have the advantage in this top lane as the Chaance is still looking to see if they can get their first evolution here, Lobo. It's all worked out for Infamous Gaming so far. They just have to make sure they capitalize on the pressure that they've built up.
I mean, a smart play by the Combusken as well to take that central area Foul Toy away from Chansey. They were looking for it to try and get their evolution. Still stuck as a little Chansey as both central laners return to farm up their boss. Boswell is going to manhandle Zacian with Clefable online as well as Blissey. Healers and all-rounders are ready to go. They have to make and show face here for the central lane for Regidrago, but Charizard and the Fire Starters are online. It's a battle of two, probably the most popular Fire Starters going on. Who's going to get the win in this one?
Yeah, it's tough because, you know, as soon as you have that Unite move online for that Charizard, it's a difficult situation for Infamous Gaming to be in. They have to counter it, and that you really don't want to be looking at doing that so early on as we see Spinal getting really aggressive here. They're going to get the point lead. Zacian's trying to get the revenge, though. Blissey's going to try and absorb all of that Buzzwole sent back to Nurse Joy. There comes the Electro Ball. The rotations from Infamous Gaming are absolutely on point here as they now take the point lead. Smart by the Charizard to get themselves out of that situation.
I agree with you. Going to turn attention to the basement lane right now. Umbreon going to do their best to try and absorb all of the damage coming through from this enhanced charge beam. I do want to see what moveset that Umbreon is going to be running. However, we do have Infamous Gaming doubling the points as we have a Registeel turnabout as the bottom lane, and Spinal going to waste no time. Tano going to try and take this one off the map as quickly as they can.
Big Beam's going to come in here from Infamous Gaming. Looks like they're actually going to be able to take it here. Mew does. Yuri takes it. Registeel buff now for Infamous Gaming, but they are on a bit of a retreat, knowing that Spinal here, Big Beam will come through yet again. Pure not being here to defend gives the advantage to Infamous Gaming as they've already taken the point lead. But look at Vin Diesel here, Lobo. They've got their Unite move. They're going to rotate to this top objective and see what they can do.
I feel like it's going to be on site for that Mega Charizard Unite move right now. Spinal are going to make a interesting call here. They're looking to try and go straight for this bottom path. They are split to double objectives going to the side of Infamous Gaming. They've once again taken an early 100-point or close to 100-point lead as Regieleki marches down. Infamous Gaming going to try and do some Infamous window shopping and take those buffs away from the side of Spinal, as Blaziken does manage to get away with their window shopping. Boswell is here to try and do it, but here we've got the Firestars going to try and engage on each other, and Charizard barely survives that Mew boosted.
I actually love the way Infamous Gaming are playing this. The second they see Vin Diesel, they want to go for the KOs. It was a lock-in as Aramis wanted to push onto that Charizard there, buddy. Having the Clefable with them for the healing as well. So Spinal haven't quite got out of this Charizard what they were hoping to do so far, but we're only in the mid-game so far. Still a close game, as to say. 124 points to 45, but it does feel like Infamous Gaming have a much better team fight so far.
I agree with you, but we could see the turn of the tide right now as we've got 3 members of Spinal in that top part. This is going to be a nice little overdunk coming through. Double 40s, actually only 24 overdunk as they send this game to within 4 points. But Infamous Gaming going to turn it around. 40's going to go in from the Mew, taking the lead back as the Bright Future Meteor Storm rains down. They could pick up a KO right now, but the safety coming through from Clefable to make sure that Blaziken survives that, turning their attention to Regirock right now, but that Miraidon damage is just so chaotic.
Gonna break that T1 pad with a 40 dunk coming in from Blaziken. Here's Aramis is gonna join this fight from the flank side. Regirock is gonna rip down the overheat's ready to go, but it's not quick enough as it's taken by Miraidon. There's the Ultra Swole Slam. Bliss Assistance is gonna come through, but guess what? Zacian manages to get out unscathed. Now they're fighting on the T1 pad, but Spinal have got the number of Infamous Gaming as they take down Umbreon. Goodbye to Blaziken. Zacian destroyed, and Spinal are gonna take the advantage by scoring the points in the T1.
I mean, that is a great way to keep yourself in this game, bringing this game back to about 13 points, but Pure with the block on the home pad, just able to bounce everyone back, give yourself an extra presence on that pad to ensure that the scores went in. Clefable trying everything they can, but finally seeing the Mega Charizard do something at the 4-minute mark. Tano's still a little bit questionable coming through when you've got that central lane, only activating that Unite move for the first time around that time. We turn our attention to top side. Regieleki on the board. Infamous Gaming had a free Regieleki mode, but there is another Mega Charizard Unite move.
That's what you want to see, buddy. The second you get grouped up in this team fight, you're going to throw that Seismic Slam and use that advantage of having the Mega Evolution as they take the Regieleki. I mean, it is quite a low cooldown. They're probably going to need to farm a little bit up before that Groudon takes to the field, but they're taking the advantage whilst they have it, and Spinal have brought this to an extremely close game with the final battle about to break through in about 50 seconds.
I mean, we have entered that final stretch, just like you talk about, 45 seconds to go to a ground, and they're going to shred this Regieleki right down. Pure is going to be a nuisance in that enemy team central area. Even Overheat is not going to be able to secure that. Going to turn their attention to the Blissey. Having a Miraidon with a blue buff is also very, very scary. We have a level 13 Charizard on the board, as well as level 13 Boswell for Spinal, but no level 13s for the side of Infamous Gaming, as we've got another fight breaking out with 20 seconds right before Charizard, before Groudon shows its face. Bliss Assistance has to come out early, but to no avail. Did Charizard get taken down there? They did. A nice quick KO. 2 Unite moves used by the side of Spinal as Miraidon's Bright Future Meteor Storm came down, and they could go for the rip straight away right now, Tano.
Straight on the rip. No Mystical Mirage ready to go on the side of Yuri either. They are trying to see what they can do here, but guess what? The Umbreon has pulled all the attention. Seaver's taking Flareon's attention away. Means we will have another team fight. As Infamous Gaming get their squad back, they won't have Seaver's, but here comes Blaziken. The rip continues on the side of the Groudon. We still have that Seismic Slam ready to go as Mega Charizard gets prepared to do just that. Enhanced Charge Beam does come through. Spinal manages to take the Groudon and completely annihilate Infamous Gaming. We've got a minute 20 left, Lobo, but we might be going to game 3.
I definitely think we're going to a game 3. Umbreon can hold this pad for as long as they want, but with the power of those Groudon buffs, Spinal are gonna march right on in to that home pad with a minute and 11 to go. You can't take anything away from Infamous Gaming. If they're able to steal 1 or 2 buffs away from Spinal, they could manage to try and get a push down with only 300 points left on the board. But mate, that's a tough task, especially when you've got this enhanced charge beam Miraidon and the Mega Charizard looking you down.
Yeah, this is not an easy task at all, and I think Spinal have done what needs to be done for them to be able to take us to a game 3. I liked the adjustments on their team there, buddy. Infamous Gaming trying to hold strong. It did feel like they had the better team fight capability, but it was all about that final push in that fight just before Groudon came in, and they managed to wipe out all of the HP on the side of that Blaziken and that Clefable.
I agree with you, and it's just now damage control as Charizard takes to the skies once again. Gotta show the power of the Mega Charizard. We have been questioning it for these entire broadcasts. We actually question it every time we see the Mega Charizard, but finally it's showing its worth, and of course, in the hands of a team as capable as Spinal, it was eventual, it was imminent that we would see the power of Mega Charizard X.
It was. Again, though, did feel like it took quite a bit to get to that position. We saw it, buddy. We didn't feel like we saw, like, what, 2 Unite moves out of Vin Diesel, the entirety of that. It didn't feel like they used the Mega enough. So, again, a lot of experience to get that at that level, but it's all about that final team fight. Spinal did enough to keep themselves in the game up until that moment, and then just won the most important fight of the game for them to take this second victory. Look at Flareons again, mate. 112k damage on Miraidon, 13k taken is ridiculous.
That's actually ridiculous. And I think the point that you made right now in game number 1 is kind of going to hold true a little bit more. The double all-rounder picks are once again interesting. Look, we saw the Zacian doing 52k damage, not bad at all, but getting 0 KOs is a big problem. Aramis not able to pop off as much as we saw them in the original game. We saw them take a few objectives very cleanly, as well as the Groudon in game 1. Almost took it in game number 2, but again, up against Flareons on that Miraidon, it's a problem. I mean, Glaceon was banned off this game, so we didn't have the double shred. But maybe, like, do you waste a second ban on the Miraidon? Do you take it for yourself, or do you? There has to be a target on that Miraidon's back that Infamous Gaming have to figure out, because for the last 2 games, it has done a ridiculous amount of damage, and it has to be stopped, because that seems to be where Spinal are going for. How did Infamous Gaming deal with that Miraidon, buddy?
Well, I think the simple fact is you've got Yuri completely comfortable on the Mew and putting in a very good session each game. So leave them on the Mew. I think what you do, the double all-rounders, you haven't quite found the combo that you want. They keep banning out this Mimikyu. And I think, Lobo, take it. I think do not ban out the Mimikyu. Try and take it yourself and ban out the Miraidon instead, because you haven't quite found that combo of double all-rounders that you're looking for. We've seen that Spinal love to use these ranged attackers that are completely uncontested. Throw a Mimikyu into the mix. They will be very comfortable taking on those ranged attackers, trying to get into that backline, and then you can just ban out the most powerful one that is Miraidon.
Look, it makes me very, very happy when you say, don't ban the Mimikyu, take the Mimikyu. We know it's one of my favorite Pokemon, but I have to point out right now, do we go with the Trick Room Mimikyu? You're not taking damage when you're in Trick Room, especially when you're taking damage from a Pokemon outside of Trick Room. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I love a good Trick Room Mimikyu. I can't wait to see what we're going to see coming through, but we're going to go to the head-to-heads right now. Fortunately, we didn't get to see the amount of healing that we're going to do. KOs on these supporters. Not exactly what we're looking at for supporters, but assists, 6 versus 2. I want to say, though, 162k damage taken from the Blissey is kind of crazy. However, I want to talk about the Unite move difference between these 2 Pokemon right now, Tano, because Bliss Assistance, it just has to be the better Unite move between these 2 Pokemon.
Yeah, I mean, you're running the RNG over on the side of Clefable anyway. You either get something really, really good or really, really bad. And sometimes, even if you get something really good, like the fly that we
Mm,
saw, you can
mm.
end up with a pavement one. So,
Yeah.
it's you compare that to definitely giving a massive shield and a lot of damage to your team.
Mhm.
It's easy to see which one wins that, mate.
No, I agree. However, I did find the utility of Clefable just a little bit better on this one. We did see the follow me moveset come through from Clefable, which was a surprise to me. However, it did prove effective because Clefable did take a decent amount of damage, or they did were able to redirect those enhanced charge beams. However, for that Mega Charizard in the background, I would have preferred to see Gravity over this one.
Yeah, I think I'm with you, to be honest with you, buddy. We're looking at the tanks here, and Seabus with a much better session on the side of this Umbreon. It did feel like that Mamoswine took
Mhm.
so much to get online, even though you do have good crowd control, even as a Swinub and a Pillow-Swine, but it was
Mm,
all about this Umbreon here, buddy. I know I feel like it was Snarl Foul Play that we saw them playing, just going for
mhm,
complete disrupt, which I'm 100% on board with, is my favorite way to play Umbreon. But again, it felt like they could have used something to limit the Charizard a little bit more. Although,
mm.
was it that effective, Lobo? I feel like in the final fight, absolutely. But throughout the game, I'm not sure.
And this is the thing we talked about. Like we talked about at the very start of game number 2, we talked about gravity and we talked about mean look to really stop the Charizard from doing what it needs to do. Whether that Charizard got online early game or late game, you still needed those two moves to probably help it out. Whether mean look was, I guess, foul play with the disruption was important, but I don't know. It's sometimes what are these players thinking? We can only make our suggestions, you know. So but as we head on in to our another head-to-head, the all-rounder battle in this one, and 100%, I gotta admit, Zacian felt powerful in the early game. It felt like it fell off a little bit in the late game. Whereas Boswell, mate, they just keep taking that protein, take that pre-workout. It came to play in the later stages of this game, and that's why I think Boswell. I mean, Mimikyu's still taking that central lane sometimes when we see it, but Boswell probably the most prominent top laner right now in this, unless we can think of something else.
Yeah, I mean, it does feel like there's not a lot you can do to stop Dwayne the Bugson here, buddy,
Mm-hmm.
because it's just completely cleaning up. They got 4 KOs there, 7 assists. It did feel like Zacian had the better early game paired with that Clefable, but then fell off a little bit in the later stages. As we have a look at this head-to-head here, it actually should be the other way around. I believe Aramis was on the Blaziken, and we have Vin Diesel on that Mega Charizard X. Doesn't feel that impactful looking at these stats here, but it's all about that Unite move. But then again, can we say that if the final fight was won purely on the back of that Unite move getting a good cleanup?
Yeah, I agree with you. It was the Charizard won that fight on purely on the background because it was in that Groudon pit doing the damage. However, Aramis was in there with the Blaziken. I thought the Blaziken was gonna get a steal on the Groudon, but the healing and the regeneration coming out from Mega Charizard X just too much. But here, come on, Flareons, what are you doing, man? This is ridiculous. This is actually
Bro,
ridiculous.
this is illegal, bro. 112k damage whilst only taking 13. That is bizarre. And you have to look at that if you're Infamous Gaming thinking, we need to do something about this, because that's the second game that Flareons has got the least amount of damage on their team whilst dealing the most. They've got to look at that and think, do we really want to allow them to keep taking this Miraidon?
Uh, it's one of those things, Tana. Like we could sit here all the live long day and just trying to kind of figure out what these teams are thinking. Maybe they're thinking that the Miraidon isn't that dangerous, but we're looking at these stats and what they've done in both of these games, and yeah, it's dangerous.
Facts. It is a problem, and
It's
you
pure,
need to think about it.
plain and simple. It's a problem. Just deal with it, will ya? But going on into these bans, my friend, Blissey's gonna get banned off. Hooper's gonna get banned off. They final do not want Infamous Gaming playing any supports in this game. But Mimikyu, they're not gonna listen to us. Mimikyu, as much as I would like to see it, is not gonna get played. Mega Lucario is not gonna be allowed, and they're gonna take the Glaceon away. So now Spinal probably just gonna insta lock this Miraidon.
Yeah, and the thing is, we talk about taking Pokemon away from players. I mean, come on, Flareon's a very comfortable player, one of the best, so they're going to be comfortable on pretty much any ranged attacker you put them on. Give them an Inteleon instead. But it's the fact that Miraidon's the best ranged attacker in the game, bro. And why would you give the best ranged attacker over to one of the best players on it? You've got to do something to limit them in some way. You can take it yourselves, for Christ's sake. Right now, Spinal, they're going to be happy with Pure getting back on this Crustle.
I love the fact that the insta lock is Crustle. It's just feels like, nope, it's mine. It's mine. It's going first pick. I don't care what you say. It's going first pick. But I like the 2 picks coming out from the side of Infamous Gaming. Aramis, again, very effective on that boss Blaziken in the first game. Not so effective in the second game. I mean, we're only talking about stats, but what we saw, it was very effective. But Flareon's has decided that the games must end, and they have decided that Inteleon is the way to go. Enough of the Miraidon fluff. He's going to show us exactly who the best attacker in the game is.
Bro's definitely listened to this broadcast. He's like, you know what? They keep blazing my Miraidon. Let me get on this Inteleon and show them what's what as they take that out now. They do have the Suicune on the side of Infamous Gaming. That is definitely huge for them. But right now, no easy way to get onto Flareons yet again. Tint4 is going to bring out the Blastoise all-rounder plan here instead. But we finally have a Speedster on the field. And where is Jonathan Hyde? Because Sableye is coming in for Spinal.
I just had a tingle down my spine because I see a Sableye on my screen. Funny enough, to me, Tony, Sableye players are getting more and more intelligent. I'm seeing it more and more in my solo queue games. Sableye players have been watching the pros go because Sableye is so incredibly effective when it wants to be. Just has that ability to hindrance and just annoy opponents at every stage of the game. I'm here to see it. An effective Sableye player is always an absolute joy to watch. However, Cebus is going to be looking for them. Tint on that damage Blastoise, which I'm going to assume, but it is going to be Hydro Spin. But Yuru has finally decided to go for the genetically modified version of Mew this time around. The humans have taken over, and the genetic scientific experiment with Mega Mewtwo Y is going to come to play. And that damage that Mewtwo Y can put down, it's kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, it really is. And I do like the maneuverability that Yuri's going to have on the side of that Mewtwo Y. But Vin Diesel's on Dodrio, mate. And the thing is, there's only one target for Vin Diesel, and that is taking out Yuri here. That is the difficulty that they're going to come under. They don't really have a threat to try and take down Flareons on the side of Infamous Gaming. Maybe Tint4 trying to go in if they want to go for that Spin Voice build that we see so many people play at the moment. But this is going to be one heck of a matchup, buddy. It is the battle again of the front line, taking on the ranged attackers here as we go into the final game of this set.
I mean, our upper bracket semi-finals, game number 3. We love a game 3 situation. Blaziken is going to be in that central lane. I wonder if Eldegoss is going to take that red buff. It looks like it is because Sableye is lurking. We almost saw a steal of the red buff Blastoise. Little Squirtle is going to have to take on the big beefy bug all by themselves, but they don't care. Uncle wants to get a dunk in, and it's going to do that with 8 points on the board. The little Torchic also going to help out Sableye. I wonder, did they get away with the blue buff? They might have, Tana.
Yeah, it doesn't look like Torchic got it, does it? And we do see Sableye coming in. They don't have the blue buff either. Let's have a look as we do go in here for more stacks on the side of Infamous Gaming. Unk trying to find the Torchic. Doesn't at the moment with a good push coming in from Tint, but Sableye's looking for it, buddy. And that's the power of the Gremlin.
Oh my god, it's just giving me I've just got a tingle. I can't stop shivering when I see a Sableye, but I'm more confused as to where is the blue buff for the side of Infamous Gaming. Sableye is proving to be effective, stunning everything, confusing everything, which is just going to make it even easier for Vin Diesel to come in as a Dodrio and clean up. Unfortunately, Infamous Gaming have just decided that they want to go into this basement lane. They decided to target Pure, but there is where that blue buff has gone. It has gone to Cebus on that Suicune.
Mate, I'm so glad we got to the bottom of the case of the infamous blue buff. It's now going to be taken over by Vin Diesel as they... Well, I think it actually expired, but nevertheless, 15 seconds before we see the Regidrago take to the field here. A very close early game, but I gotta say, the matchup in this top lane is an interesting one. The Battle of the War Turtle versus Buzzwole, and we don't see Buzzwole winning the way that we usually do.
But why does War Turtle has a red buff as well? There's the confusion coming out from the Sableye, and beautifully Spinal have turned the chaos of this Sableye on the field into a winning formula. They, for the first time in these first two games, they have taken a lead past the 7-minute mark, and now they're holding it because it's 70-25. Sableye making the difference for Spinal because Infamous Gaming have to figure out how to deal with this little gremlin. Flareon's going to try it with a snipe shot from downtown, but who else to secure? But Blaziken, buddy. 7:30 on the clock. Little Altara is about to show up in 7 seconds. Sableye, mate, my eyes are on you.
Yeah, you just see Sableye getting so ready to be a nuisance, but instead, they're actually going to go to the top lane here, or grab the farm and come back down. Infamous Gaming, though, they've got 4 in this bottom lane. They're very comfortable down here, just allowing that battle of Buzzwole and War Turtle to continue in the top lane, while Vin Diesel takes all of the farm away from Infamous Gaming. And this is what I was concerned about, Lobo, is being able to keep on top of your own experience farm here, because Vin Diesel's taking it.
I mean, yeah, War Turtle trying to do a great job. Great job also by Eldegoss Gohan as well to be able to block that snipe shot coming through from Flareon to actually make sure that they weren't able to secure the Regieleki. Regieleki gonna march on in to tier number 1. However, Buzzwole is going to give Spinal a buff of their own, and with that buff, the Azure Spy Vision is gonna come on out with the triple trample and the defense of this pad. Even though that Regieleki walked right on in, has been done beautifully by Spinal. Whoo, with those points, they're going to maintain this lead, and what an overcap they're about to get.
Yeah, very good overcap. 193 points to 59 now at the moment, and that is why you have a Sableye. You can cause a lot of crowd control issues, but you can also score. And if you can outscore, you can outwin. That is how you take a game of Pokemon Unite. Right now, though, Blastoise holding strong in the top lane for Infamous Gaming, while Spinal rotates the majority of their team to put the pressure on up here.
Yeah, no rapid spin coming out from the side of Blastoise either. No access to Hydro Typhoon as well. It's the first time I've seen Surf happen in a little while, but Blaziken is going to go hunting, but this could be problematic. This Sableye Unite plus the snipe shot plus the try attack. Spinal were having absolutely none of it. And Blaziken, oh my god, that's a little bit of egg on that face from that chicken.
I mean, Sableye is so frustrating. Like, this is why people hate to see the Gremlin on the field, but it is such a good Pokemon. Not only for just being a nuisance, the power of greed, and takes quite a bit of damage itself, but it means that they have to use quite a lot of resources. I mean, most people do. They don't take the attention of, let's keep away from the Sableye. They just want to take it down, as we see the Focus Blast do that here on the side of Blaziken. But Spinal are outscoring Infamous Gaming right now with another 30 overcap coming in from the Buzzwole.
They have taken this lead. The Azure Spy Vision have Flareon said, fine, I'll do it myself. But unfortunately, they're going to get pushed right into a wall by this Blastoise. The Endless Ice Spy is going to try and hold Pure down. But as we know, nothing can hold Pure for long. The Hydro Typhoon, there are 3 Unite moves used on Pure alone. Gets finally frozen by the Suicune, but Crossel is still alive. Dodrio gonna back cap as well to keep their point lead at 200. And Sableye is just gonna go get a 6 just for that. But nope, Blastoise says, no, get off my pad. We're at the halfway point. 4 minutes on the clock, 300 to 119. Infamous Gaming have kept in this one right now, Tano, and they're just trying to get as much farm as they can. Doesn't matter who gets it, because Eldegoss has got a blue buff right now. Ultra Soul Slam comes through, and Blaziken gets sent back to the Pokemon Center.
Ooh, Seabus was going to go as well, but Buzzwole had a word to say about that as Unk finds the KO. It's a double for them right now. OG is annihilating Infamous Gaming here. Good surf is going to come through from the Blastoise, but not a lot more you can do when Dwayne the Bug Bugson will take you back to Nurse Joy, as Infamous Gaming seem to be on the back foot of all of these team fights.
And it irks me to say it, but it is Sableye making the difference right now. You said it before. It's a good Pokemon. People would have disagreed with you previously. Tri-Attack is going to go in on it to Blaziken. Boswell gets frozen and taken
Ooh.
out as well. Finally, Infamous Gaming get one back, but Cebus is dangerously low right now as Flareon is putting on the damage with these snipe shots. Blastoise is able to hop over a wall. Who knew the big Shelly boy could be that mobile? Just hopping everywhere that they can go. Sableye once again going to try and steal a blue buff away. These points have not changed. 1 minute to go. Final stretch. Game 3, Tano. This could be an exciting team fight.
Yeah, Spinal are being very aggressive here as well, mate. I wouldn't surprise me if this ends up being the Groudon fight as you look at Sableye and Dodrio here, but they were caught in the back of the enemy lines here. Infamous Gaming's going to find Sableye. The Regieleki is going to be ripped. Cebus trying to see if they can take it with the freeze. Aramis coming in with the Focus Blast, prepares the overheat kick, but wise by Unk just to throw them away as OG did not want to end up going back into that fight. And now we're 10 seconds away from Groudon taking to the field, and the mighty fight of the game come down to this.
5 seconds to go. It's in the bag. Sableye has 19. Not gonna try and break that tier 2 with this. And the rip could be on straight away. Boswell almost getting caught up. Beautiful rock doom by Pure. Surf is gonna go in from Blastoise just to back on everybody off. The heals are there. The Mewtwo Unite is gonna come out very quickly here, Tano. That might have just been too quick, and the fight pops off. Boswell's going to go in, slamming everything down. Sableye going to try and send everyone back. Hydro Typhoon sends everybody back up. 2 members down for the side of Spinal. Triple is going to fire on in from Dodrio, and 3 members are down for Spinal. Infamous Gaming have to rip. They have the heals. They have the advantage, but Spinal, they have Flareons and Pure right here.
That they do. All Unite moves have been used as well, realistically. I mean, you do have the Blaziken here, so they've got that combo of using both as we see Pure going in with the X-Scissor again. And of course, would it be anyone else? Flareon takes the Groudon whilst all the fight is breaking loose in the Groudon den. Infamous Gaming are falling one by one. Aramis is going to find Pure, but there's not enough that they can do with a minute left on the board. Spinal, the might of NA, is going to defeat Infamous Gaming.
Oh, what? What? There were 3 members down for Spinal. Pure did a fantastic job in that Groudon pit, distracting and making sure that Infamous Gaming couldn't have a clean rip on that. Anybody else but Flareon, it had to be Flareon's not only securing the Groudon, but picking up a 4 KO streak to boot. And a 3 KO streak not to be outdone. OG is here. Blaziken has a buff, but with 18 seconds left to go, I think that is as good as done for this. Spinal showing up in these last 2 games and putting on a dominant performance.
That they have. And I tell you what, buddy, I cannot wait to see who they come up against in the winners final, because it will be one heck of a matchup. Right now, Spinal and Lost MTZ have been my teams to watch in the entirety of this, and we might see them next. We're just waiting for the results of chaance esports and Lost MTZ. Right now, though, it's all about Spinal, and look at Flareon's yet again putting in a showing on this Inteleon.
Ridiculous. That's 2. Hang on. Just breathe. Just take a breath. Take a breath. That's 2 games in a row that Flareon's has done 110k damage. It's absolutely nuts. Honestly, for this one, there's so many talking points for this game number 3, but one, we got to talk about JL on that Sableye, you absolute nuisance over person. What are you